Hi, this is Grégoire from gregswhiskeyguide.com, the website since 6 years and the YouTube channel since around 6 months or so. Welcome on board if you're a follower. Thank you very much for coming in again. Thank you for trusting me, for providing you interesting informations and opinions. Your support is much appreciated, and as usual, if you like the video, please click the like button. If you don't want to miss the new ones, because there are many coming in, click the notification bell as well. Notification permits you to know when there are new videos posted, but also when there are live streams coming in, and I have several ones I'm gonna do alone and with guests. So this is a new series I'm inserting in a way in the program I told you about in the channel news video, and for new followers as well, welcome to my channel. That will be mostly in English. And so, as there seemed to be a popular demand and also a challenge from Rob from Whiskey in the 6, very good channel from Canada, for those who don't know it, I decided to respond to this 10 whiskies to try before you die theme he made, and also other themes coming in from other YouTubers. Some are global challenge to all other YouTubers, some are individual challenges. I decided to respond in my manner because for me the 10 whiskies to try before you die is something that doesn't mean exactly what Rob means. Because at the end of the day, it was a book published by Ian Buxton. I'm going to show you in the specific video I'm gonna do about 10 whiskies to try before you die, which is following among several others. So yeah, I didn't understand the same thing, so I said why not do a series of videos on specific themes, trying to get shorter than usual, maybe not necessarily taste them, but because of course it's whiskies that I have tasted, and for 99%, or let me see, 100% of them many times over the years, many different batches, etc. So yeah, I would like to share it with you. And to start now with the specific theme of today, I thought it was good to try to give you, especially for beginners, but maybe also for people who know a bit more about whiskey, but who may not invest in some things that you can find almost everywhere. I picked up what I call 10 great values Scottish single malts to try, and to try now. Now that means you don't have to wait for special occasions. You will still find them probably over the years. Some might be discontinued. I have some ideas of which could be, but in that case I will give you alternatives. Okay, so to start with, they're not in, by the way, they're not in particular order, except the order of tasting suggested. I put them all on my table, and the order of tasting is from regarding the flavors and the level of peat, but not necessarily the ABV, which is a lesson I hope some could learn someday. The ABV is not necessarily the only criteria that should drive for me a tasting. And yeah, that gives me also an idea maybe to explain how to conduct a tasting. That could be interesting as well. Okay, with not losing more time, let's try the first one. So the first one for me is something that could be provocative to many, because it's something that's around 18 to 20 euros, so a bit less of pounds, and a bit more dollars if I am wrong. Glen Marais Elgin Classic, 40% ABV. Yes, a bit colored, yes, chill filtered, but full of flavors. An absolutely lovely aperitif whiskey. Maybe probably around 5 years old, 6 years old, not much more, but providing lovely flavors of fruit, of hay, fresh herbs, citrus fruit. I said, yeah, floral notes as well. A bit of spice. It's a bourbon cask driven single malts, but I think it's a lovely whiskey to start with, to start an evening, to start to make people discover whiskey if they don't love whiskey. Of course, there are also blended whiskey. I will do another topic about blended whiskey, but for now it's single malts only, and single malt from Scotland. So we're in the Speyside area. Okay, it's not a good side. Never mind. So it's the part of the map that's over here that is blue, and it's north of even north of it here. I've been last year because it's the Speyside where most distilleries are concentrated. It's another story why. I know why. But yeah, mainly you have a lot of interesting distillery there. We're not moving, number two, we're not moving from Speyside, we're a bit south with the Bulow 16 years old double cask matured. This one is an old-time favorite of easygoing, easy drinking, and easy also associating with a lot of food pairing single malts. This 16, I've been tasting it for almost 15 years, and the consistency of it is very amazing for me. And also this typical notes of cooked apples and pears, but mostly apples, very specific to the distillery. This one is bourbon matured and sherry oloroso cask finished. This is the French version, which is at 43%. I saw Scotch for Dummies. They did a review about it, and they apparently even had only had the 40% ABV versions in the US, which is a pity. Pernod Ricard, the owner, tends now to lower the ABV and sometimes the content because of cask shortage and popular demand, very high demand. For instance, the Abuna, that I could advise as well, but it's not more as easy as this one for everyone to try, is reached higher prices in the UK market. It's deliberate. And also the 18 years old, unfortunately, is now at 50 cl bottles and not 70 cls, even for us French. So, and as you can see, yeah, I drunk a lot of this over the years, and I love the bottling. It's so beautiful, the cork, everything is very cool about this one. If you can't find this Bulow, 16 years old, you can try to find, I don't know if you can get it in the 12 years old double cask matchers. It's a bit less appealing, it's a bit more woody, but it's still nice. I preferred both on the 10 years old, the regular one at least, because there are other versions. You might, if you come across this 12 years old unchill filtered at 48% ABV, pick it up quick, because it's less sherry influenced, but it's a beautiful whiskey and quite some complexity. Okay, sorry guys. Then we'll move on number 3, an old-time classic, double wood Balvenie from the Balvenie, the William Grant's Group. I could advise you also the Glenfiddich, 15 years old. But out of the two, I think the best value, when the prices are reasonable, that means 35, 40 euros, and not 60 as I saw somewhere, which is absolutely not the regular price for me. 40% ABV, and it's double wood, so again bourbon and sherry. I think this really well made, and not much batch variations, I think, over the years. And I like this association of wood, spices, sweet spices, vanilla, and some really malted barley. You can feel the malted barley in there. Flavors, plus the bottle is beautiful, and if it's emptied and you put off the label, you can do it a nice decanter for water or for flowers. Anyway, we're going to move on to the fourth one. Again, an old-time classic, 12 years old Highland Park. Probably the most consistent, along with the 18 years old, but it's a bit too expensive for its value now, in my opinion. But this one around 30 euros, 30, 40 euros, sometimes less in bargains, is still very interesting, providing typical Orkney Island single malt, at least for Highland Park, let's say, because Kappa is a bit different, but both have some green elements that are coming in the complex bouquet, complex flavor profile, and the typical heather honey note, fruit, dark fruit, dried fruits, etc., and the delicate hint of smoke we like in Highland Park, I think. So again, a classic, a sure asset, great value, call it what you will. Highland Park. Moving in now to number 5. Yes, many will recognize, it seemed to be very popular among the YouTubers. That Glendronach original, the Glendronach original, 12 years old. This is a closed bottle at 43%. This is the contemporary one, because I have still, but I have to finish it and I do a face-to-face. The previous version, 12 years old, but which I've been told there was a lot of, if not 100% of it, was at 18 years old. It's brand ambassador talk, saying on behalf of Billy Walker. They had some argue about it on the net, on Twitter, but like I said on Twitter, it's what I've been told. There was some confusion with also the cask strength version, which has also, at least in the beginning, had some 18 years old in it, 10 to 18 years old, the cask strength, no age statement cask strength. But anyway, this was at 40, but it was absolutely stunning, and this is 43. I've tried it in several shows, so I know what it is. Of course, there can be batch variations, but I don't think so much, especially on this version. And there is a beautiful strawberry, red fruit, and dark fruit notes in it, and it's one of the most fruity whiskies on the market. And it combines Oloroso and Pedro Jimenez casks. So a lot of sweetness, a lot of fruitiness, some spices. It's more spicy and a bit more woody than before, but it's still very consistent, and I really recommend it. And I give you a tip at that point: if you're gonna do a strawberry salad and you don't have wine, you don't want to do something for your guest, you want to do a wine, soupe de fraises in French, a strawberry soup, but it's a dessert. Usually they use red wine. If you don't have red wine, you want to impress your guest and they're more whiskey oriented, you chop some strawberries in a bowl, you dilute a bit, let's say 5 cl of this, and you mix it up a little bit. You let it 10 minutes to get together, let's say, and I think you're in for a treat. Okay, so that was the 6th. The 7th now, on the clock it's like 6. Yeah, no, 6. Sorry. 6, okay, in French, is the Ben Nevis 10. Bennevis, 10 years old. Again, they don't do a lot of productions. It's Nika Whiskey Distilling, the owner. Then Nika is owned by Asahi Beers, sorry. But yeah, it's still Scottish. It's still conducted by Scottish people, and as if you go to the distillery, you might find specific expressions, distillery exclusive. But if you're not, this is pretty much this one and the traditional peated, the two only you will find on the market. Of course, on the secondary market there are other expressions. I have two others that are small batches. But this one, bottled at 46%, is for me one of the best single malts on the market, and one of the best 10 years old. I will do also, guys, special 10 years old, my favorite 10 years old single malts from Scotland very soon. This one provided typical old, what I call old sherry-driven Speyside, even if it's not Speyside, Highlands, let's say, in the global Speyside is part of Highlands. All the orange you see there, oops, sorry. Yeah, okay. I'm very bad on this. Always confounding left from right on the camera. Sorry about it. Yeah, so there's something we say oxydative in French. That's oxidations notes. Something, you know, like you might have in olive oil as well, in other whiskies. There's something that also can be part of the aging, and something in the distillate that makes it, when it aged on sherry cask, specifically almost balsamic notes, you know, balsamic notes, not too strong, of course, you couldn't drink it, but so the sherry goes on the direction which is different from, for instance, the previous one, the Glen. And then also you have some chocolate, that's strong chocolate note, dark chocolate notes. You have also some woody notes, some herbal notes, some spices, also some the oriental sides that's also close to that balsamic note that I talked about. And all this makes a rich flavored, complex whiskey. Okay. Now there were some alternatives. I wanted to mention this. If you can hold your hands on that Edradour in particular, the Caledonia, 12 years old. A bit too expensive now, so that's why I didn't put it on that lineup. But if you can still find a bottle of this is a very good and different sherry, with some melon notes, some amazing different fruits, a bit tropical, a bit, you know, summery, yeah, melon and stuff like that. It's a bit unusual profile, but very good one. We're moving to now the peated section, if I may say, and I'm gonna talk to you about the 12 years old Caolilla. Sorry about the image. Caolilla, 12 years old, is an all-time classic in the peated range and in the peated whiskies that are affordable for everyone. 35-40 euros. It's a pretty well-made whiskey, very balanced, with just what it takes of peat smoke, not really briny, a bit salty, not really like Lefroy medicinal, just a little bit. It ages very well, but this version, very constant over the years, is one of the most easygoing peated whiskey, and one of the most satisfying at 43%, even if most of it isn't matured on Islay, I have to say. Sorry, again a mistake. It's behind me, by the way. There's a map kindly provided a long time ago by Elixir Distillers of the Isle of Isla. If you can't find it, which will be very astonishing, because every supermarket normally has its Colilla, you can go for the Moch edition, which is no age statement and a bit less rounded, but still very good. Or you can try also a Bowmore 12, which, okay, is not as good as 20-30 years ago, but still interesting for newcomers to peated whiskies, let's say. Otherwise, another alternative, so makes it maybe probably more 15 great values whiskies. Kilchoman Saneg, which I prefer to the Mackirbe, and there's a mix of bourbon and sherry casks in it. Kilchoman Saneg at 46%. Natural color, non-chill filtered, is for me one of the best peated whiskies on the market. And also one of the most beautiful bottling, I have to say, ever in Scotch whiskey history. That could make a beautiful gift, in my opinion. We're not in the Christmas list yet, but we're getting to it soon. No big list like this one without Springbank for me, one of my let's say one of the top 10 distilleries I prefer. With the another all-time classic. This is not the latest bottling, by the way, a few years ago. Now it bears an orange and black and a bit white label, but it's almost the same juice every year. It has a bit evolved, I have to say. At the beginning, when I started around 2005, let's say, the batches were more bourbon driven, and I believe maybe with a bit of rum casks, because you might not know, but this distillery uses bourbon casks, rum casks, and sherry casks, and sometimes also other kind of wines and spirit casks. But most of the time they combine bourbon, rum and sherry, but they not necessarily state it when there is a mix of bourbon and rum, especially for the 10 years old. And I know it's true, and I've noticed that, having talked about with the master distiller a few years ago, and this is very interesting, how it evolves and also how it gets more peaty than before. So it's I put this because it's 46 after the Colilla, even if it's less, it gives less the impression of peat. But if I had to do a tasting with those two in a row of many whiskies, this is the order. It might surprise you, but this is the order I would choose, because the strength, for once, not all the time, but almost not almost the strength, but the temperament, the character, very strong structural character of Springbank, that's very important in blends, for instance, makes it for me stronger than in flavors than the Colilla, which is a sweeter whiskey, but both are very good. We're almost to the end with the Talisker 10 years old, another all-time classic. Talisker 10 years old, it was a bit discontinued. I've been told it is not, but there's less stocks available. They prefer to push in front of the scene the Sky, Talisker Sky, which is a bit harder in profile, more wood technologic whiskey, but I like it though in tastings and also in blending and also in food pairings. I'm gonna do a video about food pairings, but for now I'm gonna give you two tips. Talisker 10 goes fantastically well with French cheese called Comté, You know, it resembles to you know, something very easy to eat. It's not a blue cheese. I don't know the word in English. Sorry, I've not prepared this. So yeah, it goes very well with French Comté, even a bit old Comté, and it goes also very well with smoked salmon. Yeah, so you know, I probably know it before. Another alternative I forgot to mention, if you want something sweet, as a starter, Glen Marais, 12 years old. It's still for me a good proposal, with a lovely fruity, candied fruit, slightly herbal, delicately floral expression. And we finish with this one, which I'm sure everybody knows about it. Talisker, not Talisker, sorry, Lagavulin 16. I'm not gonna redo it, but yeah, Lagavulin 16. Once again, I'm not presenting the best single malts, best grade values, etc. on the market, because we can go higher. I'm trying to present you here something that's less than, let's say, 60-70 euros, for exception of the Adrodar and sometimes the Springbank. You should find all these whiskies at less than 60 euros. Almost all these whiskies at less than 60 euros, 55 pounds or something like that. With, like I said, very few exceptions. So I try to keep it democratic, let's say. So Lagavulin 16, it's something deep, complex. Okay, there's caramel in it, added caramel, okay, it's chill filtered, 43% instead of 46 or 48 for the beautiful 8 years old. But it's less affordable, it's more affordable than the 8 years old. It's very expensive in France, over almost 80 euros, while this one, you can find it from 45 to 55 in France. It has a beautiful length, beautiful complexity, beautiful, almost like velvety sensation of peat smoke. It has something that has to do with the tea. Dark tea, black tea, like Lapsang Souchong is the closest thing that we can compare to this whiskey, flavor profile wise. And so it's a beautiful end of the evening whiskey, let's say, before the chimney, or once you finish your dinner. It's easygoing, it's not a cask strength. For many people it's difficult to drink a cask strength. And also I will give you a tip, which is for me the most explosive and strongest food pairing I know for now with whiskey. It's when you pour a bit of the Lagavulin in your glass and you keep a bit in your mouth. You don't swallow it, and you eat a piece of cheese that's called Roquefort, which is French blue cheese, and you, with a bit of bread, of course, you put that in your mouth, and then everything will be melting together, and it will explode, as the Lagavulin will enhance the blue cheese flavors, the salty flavors, buttery flavors, and the Lagavulin will also shine with all its complexity and its smoke, and also maritime notes as well. So yeah, it's a tip many already know, but I wanted to say there. So that's it for this video that I couldn't go shorter, sorry. I hope you liked it, and again, if you like it, thumbs up and a notification bell, and there will be more very soon. So yeah, stay tuned and have a nice day in between. Cheers.